Welcome back to Straight Facts. I'm joined by Lee Gunner. We're back again. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm good. I'm all good. It's national bank holiday in Spain today. So, yeah, everywhere's shut. I didn't know that until I went to the shop.
Do you know what? When I was younger, I got done by a travel agent, like proper done. So we wanted to go to Rome, really wanted to go to Rome. And I said, I didn't have a lot of money when I was younger. When's the cheapest time to go? And the woman was like, yeah, like kind of mid to late August is a really cheap time to go. So I couldn't believe how cheap it was. The flights, the accommodation, it was dirt cheap. Booked it, got there. 95% of the whole city shut. There's a 2-week period, I think it's in August, in Rome, where everyone goes on holiday. All the businesses shut down. And I'm like, no wonder it was cheap. It's like nothing here. We had to eat breakfast and dinner every day in McDonald's because that's all that was open. That was it. So, yeah, I hear that when you go somewhere, you don't quite know what's going on. But lots to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the big breaking news that Raphael Varane is out for a number of weeks for Man United. We're going to touch on that. Make sure you've smashed that like and share button. We're also going to delve into the curious case of Martinelli. Why is he not playing at Arsenal? Why is he not getting game time, especially this season when fully fit? And I want to ask Lee a really important question. A lot of Arsenal fans over the last couple of weeks have made statements on the terrace in one way, shape or form about the progression and where they're moving to. In some cases, stating they're ahead of Man United due to the Ollie tax. We're also going to look at Thibaut Courtois' rant as well and get everybody's thoughts and feelings on that. But the first big bit of breaking news, Raphael Varane is out. It says here officially from Man United, they've said that it's going to be a matter of weeks. So they haven't said 2, it could be 3, it could be 4. He has a groin injury. A groin injury is what they're saying. How big bad news do you think this is for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Man United, Lee?
It'll probably speed up his sacking. It will, won't it? Let's be real. No Maguire. Not that that's a bad thing, I suppose. And no Varane. Yeah, and it's mad because it was just like an off the ball injury. He was just running and went down, didn't he? Nobody was near him. Nobody touched him. And they're always the worst ones. Like when they're saying he's out for a number of weeks, they haven't put a specific timescale on it, which means to me, it's more than a number of weeks. It could be months. That's how I've read that. And if they didn't think it was that bad, they'd say a little 2 to 4 weeker. Yeah, they've said a number of weeks. Yeah, and then what happened is the stories that come out in 3 weeks' time. Oh, he's had a setback and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, he won't be playing again until January. I may be wrong, but that's how I read it. And I think that's massively weakened United now.
Oh, huge. I mean, it's beyond weakened us, in my opinion. It's hugely damaging. And the thing is, it's not even about the short term, him being out for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. It's also the element of him settling into the Premier League. And of course, there's mistakes in his game. All players make mistakes in one way, shape, or form. But game time for a player of his age was so important for him to kind of settle in. And that's my concern now. That's it's going to damage him in the longer term. But I also look at the fact that over the years, he hasn't missed lots of games, but he does have lots of small injuries here and there. You go back even back as just the 2018-19 season, he tore his adductor muscle. He had the flu. He got a knock. He obviously had the coronavirus later on last year. And now this leg injury. I'm just concerned. He had a leg injury at the end of last season as well, where he missed 17 days. You sort of look at it and think it's another leg injury or groin injury now. He's had a lot of injuries in his career, and it's not, on average, it's like 4 or 5 injuries a season Raphael Varane has. And I just hope this isn't the start of an injury-plagued campaign for him, because when you sign a player of his quality and his ability, if he spends a lot of the time out injured, we're back to square one again with Lindelof having to pair with Maguire. And it's, especially as Man United are hitting this really torrid time now. We've got the games we've got coming up. And I'm one of 2 ways. I feel like these games could go wrong, but that could get Ollie sacked. And there's an element of me that wants that to happen. But I don't want my team to lose. So it's a catch-22 for me. Some fans look at it like we'll look at this as good news because it's more chance of Ollie losing his job. But I don't want the pain of losing these football matches, really. But yeah, it's going to be damaging. It's going to be damaging indeed. a lot of the viewers here, hospital Varane rather than Champions League Varane. Decent play, a decent attempt there. It says a few weeks. Yeah, Matt, it says a few weeks, and Lee's right, because they don't know. And that's because some people can recover from... Look at damn Conor McGregor, his leg snapped, and within a few weeks, he was back training again lightly. Harvey Elliott's already back doing light training again. But sometimes these muscle injuries, you can say 2 or 3 weeks, but in 5 weeks, the player ain't right still. And yes, it's going to be a precarious one, definitely.
And the thing is, as well, is if he does try and rush back, it could injure him somewhere else. You know, because like if you think how many muscles are connected to each other, like and the muscles that you use to run, you know, you don't want to rush yourself back too quick if it's a groin strain or a groin problem, because then you could do a hamstring, yeah, or you could do an ankle ligament or a knee ligament or something. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many different things that you could do off of the back of a groin, yeah, because they're all kind of connected, yeah. And if he comes back and overdoes it, he could be out for a season, and you don't want that, do you? So, yeah, man, I don't think you're going to see him again much before what we're in now, mid October nearly. I don't think you're going to see him until maybe end of November.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could end up being that long. By the time he comes back, gets fully fit, you know, we could be just ahead of the... And what's really tough is we've got 2 tough games in the Champions League against Atalanta as well. And, you know, those games are, because of dropping points in that opening game, ridiculously, really, against young boys, you know, we put ourselves in such a difficult situation. Lose those games, which is plausible the way we're defensively structured at the minute, it could be big bad news to Man United. There's no doubt whatsoever. Viewers, what do you think with him being missing? What's going to happen? Good, bad, or indifferent? Interestingly, this is one thing I would say to Man United fans. All the banter we've been given the last few weeks, Varane isn't that good, he isn't that good. Nobody would be teasing us if he wasn't very good. Just remember that. If you're getting teased by a player that's, you know, sometimes it's like, learn to take the banter and read the room. Like, if you're being teased for a player being injured, it means everyone knows how good he is. Just relax a little bit. But that'll be an interesting one indeed. But he is out. He is going to be missing for that game. Now, speaking of a player that hasn't been out but isn't getting game time, I want to ask you about Gabriel Martinelli. I've seen Martinelli kind of trending over the last couple of days. A lot of Arsenal fans talking about him. Why is he not playing? Why isn't he getting game time? I'd love your take on that, Lee, because he was the hot property. And I know he had an injury, but he was his hot property. He was going to be the next big thing at Arsenal. He was going to be, you know, the next up-and-coming youngster. You know, he was being compared to the Greenwoods and the Phil Fodens. He's been fit all season. He's played just twice. Like, what's going on with Gabriel Martinelli?
It's a great question. Listen, when we signed him, he'd already trained with Brazil first team, and he was in Division 4 in Brazil. So you don't end up training with Brazil when you're, 17, 18? Yeah, if you're in the 4th division, unless you're special. Yeah, and, you know, all the Brazil players in and around that squad rate him highly. Excuse me. And we signed him, and he came in, and it was just ridiculous, man. Like, he was bagging for fun. It doesn't matter what competition it was in. People can take the mick and say it was Europa League and League Cup. But when an 18-year-old's coming in and bagging in a new league or a new country as frequently as he was under Emery, like, everyone had the right to get excited over him, you know. And I don't really know what's gone wrong, because I think I did a video on this earlier today, and I couldn't believe he's played less than 2,500 minutes for Arsenal since he's been at the club.
Yeah.
Now, some players played more than that last season. He's played that total. I know he had an injury and he was out for a few months, but he's been back fit since Christmas, January. He's barely played. And then when he does play, they play him over 3 positions. It's either right wing, left wing, or up front. And I just think it's mad. I genuinely do. I think he's such a raw talent, and I think that he can do a lot of things very well. He obviously knows where the goal is. He can score a screamer. He can score a header. He's probably the best header of a ball out of all of our strikers. Yeah, he can hold the ball up. He can dribble. He's quick. His work rate's decent. But for some reason, Arteta don't rate him, and he'd rather play Smith Rowe there, whose output is not that great. And then when you look at how many minutes Martinelli's played, and I'm not a big fan of stats by any stretch of the imagination, when you actually look how many minutes Martinelli has played and then his goal output, it's ridiculous. Like it don't make no difference whether it's Europa League or not. Yeah, the kid's a youngster, and he's bagging frequently despite hardly playing any minutes. I worked it out. He averages 48 minutes a game. Yeah, he's taken part in 52 games for Arsenal. Yeah, 2,497 minutes. That's 48 minutes average a game. I mean, that's just pathetic. Yeah, and if I was him, I'd leave. Like, he signed a new 5-year contract, I think it was, or a new extension to his contract this season before the season started, or last season, I think it was. And he ain't played. If I was him, I'd be itching to get out of there because he's got Aubameyang ahead of him. He's now got Smith Rowe ahead of him, you know, and Pepe goes over that side sometimes. Saka's on that side sometimes, you know, and he's kind of like fifth choice for the wing positions. He ain't going to get in up front. So, yeah, man, I think that this manager has kind of forced him out in an indirect way. I don't think he's done it deliberately, but I think that he feels Smith Rowe's better. And it's not necessarily about the output. It's more about carrying the ball forward. Whereas Martinelli is not, excuse me, is not as dynamic in getting the ball deep in midfield and bombing over halfway. Yeah, he ain't that type of player. He's a kind of, give me the ball on the wing. Yeah, I'll dribble past a few and I'll ping one in the bottom corner. Yeah, whereas Smith Rowe ain't really that type of player. And I think that the way Arteta sets up, he needs that midfielder like Smith Rowe that can play centre, but also drive forward down the wings and not really have a mad output. Yeah, so I don't know, man. Like, me personally, I'd play Martinelli every week. I think he's quality. Yeah, I genuinely do. I think out of the youngsters we've got at that football club, I'd put him probably the biggest ceiling, him and Saka.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, do you think, I understand the manager, you know, having his favourites or preferences, whichever kind of language we want to use. But from, you know, by your take as a Gooner, Martinelli seems to always deliver when he plays. Do you think Arteta's making the right decision? Do you think Emil Smith Rowe is a better player than Martinelli? And if it ends up leading to Martinelli, because Martinelli is not, irrespective of his contract, he isn't going to stay within this Arsenal squad, whether it's going out on loan or being sold. Do you think that could end up being a decision that Arteta regrets?
100%. 100%. Like, you've only, and it's not just him. Have a look at what Guendouzi's doing over in France. Like, he's in team of the week. He's just picked up a trophy despite not having a cap, which is kind of funny. Yeah, and I fully milked it. I'll put the picture of him holding the trophy out. But it's like them two players, when we had them, Guendouzi, even Saliba, you could throw into that. Yeah, and then obviously Martinelli. When we had Guendouzi, he was the most valuable under 21 in the world, valued at around 50 million quid. He's now going to be leaving this club for about 9 million. Do you know what I'm saying? Then you got William Saliba, we signed for 27. Yeah, he was rated more highly than Fofana. And Fofana played every week. And this kid didn't get a game and went on loan. And our fans made excuse after excuse after excuse. Then this season he's gone to Marseille and our fans are going, oh, well, he should have stayed in the Premier League. Why would he have played for Steve Bruce when he could play Europa League? Like, why would he fight a relegation battle when he can play Europa League football and play with Payet and Guendouzi and, you know, some other decent players at Marseille with a proper manager that are going to be up there battling for Champions League spots this season? When he, like, why would he stay? Why would he go to Newcastle? And then
I think it's an interesting one though, because we're going to get onto the state of Arsenal later. When I say state, I mean good, bad, or indifferent. You know, we've had Arsenal fans on the show this last week claim that Emil Smith Rowe and Bukayo Saka, but Emil Smith Rowe will become one of the top 10 football players in world football. If that's how good Arsenal fans,
who said that, by the way?
if that's how good Arsenal fans think he's going to become, then I back Arteta to pick him over Martinelli. I mean, do you and the Arsenal fans that you engage with, do you guys think Emil Smith Rowe has got the potential to be, in his peak period, one of the top 10 footballers in the world?
No. Straight answer, no. I like him. Don't get it wrong. I do like him. I just think that he holds the ball too long, which you can coach out of him, and he don't score enough. Like, I know I know he scored against Tottenham, but I think that was his first goal in the league for 6 months, 8 months, something like that. It was his first assist for 9 months. Same with Saka. Like, Saka plays better for England than he does for Arsenal since Christmas, especially. Like, you know, and there's got to be factors to figure out why. You've got to look at it logically and say, well, why is he playing better consistently every single time he puts an England shirt on than he does for Arsenal? Yeah, why is he always man of the match for England? Why is he always chipping in, getting goals, getting assists, making stuff happen? Yeah, at Arsenal, he's not. Yeah, and take out the Tottenham game, he's been poor since January. And same with Smith Rowe. Like, Smith Rowe scored 3 goals this calendar year. Yeah, Saka's only scored 2, I think, for Arsenal. And these are the 2 boys that are our shining lights going forward, apparently. And they've scored 5 league goals between them in a calendar year. Like, when you put that into perspective, yeah, and put that and compare that to other players of the similar sort of age, maybe in different positions. Say, I don't know, Phil Foden, for example. I know he's playing in a better team, but Phil Foden's light years clear of these 2. Yeah, literally light years clear. Yeah, then you look at other young players across world football. You know, Pedri's clear of these 2. Yeah, and he's playing. I think he played more games than any footballer in the world last season. Played 70 odd games, and it's like, you know, H7 says poor since January. Lol. Go and watch every single Arsenal game like I do from January, and you'll see Saka's been poor for Arsenal since January. Literally since January. And it's like, for me, I look at it. Sorry, Tel. For me, I look at it, and the reason them 2 would always get a pass with our fans, and I said this on my video I did earlier, if you come through Hale End, free pass. Yeah, free pass. I've seen people this week saying, bring Jack Wilshere, give him a contract, blah, blah, blah. Why? Give him a contract. Why? No other team in world football wanted him, so why should we have him? But Saka, I get the hype around Saka. I genuinely get it, because I do think he is one that can kick on and can become a top player. But the fact that he plays better for England than he does for Arsenal kind of says where we're at Arsenal. Yeah, well, because Southgate's not great, is he? But he's got better players around him. Yeah,
he is. Yeah, no, I agree, mate. And I think, look, the Jack Wilshere thing and the Ox. I've seen both these players linked with moves back to Arsenal. Ox on a loan, free transfer of Wilshere, and I just think that I sit there and think to myself, why any Arsenal fan would back that notion is beyond me. They are both heavily injury-prone players who are going to come in, and yeah, they might be on some pay-as-you-earn style contract, or Jack Wilshere especially, but it's just ridiculous. They are not fit. Nobody else wants them. Why do you? And you've always got to weigh that. There's a difference. If you've got like a 24-year-old up-and-coming player that everyone's sort of looking at, and your club steals a march and gets him, oh, why did no one else want him? Maybe he just wanted to play for Arsenal or Man United or Liverpool. But when they've got these major issues and question marks over their heads, don't be idiotic, Arsenal. Because I keep getting told by Gooners that we're rebuilding well. This is the first. I was told the other day in a series of tweets that this, I think it might be by Curran, this is the first official rebuild at Arsenal since the Emirates Stadium was built. The first official, proper, structural rebuild, inside to out, squad all being included. Wow. But even if let's park that one for a minute. If it is the first structural rebuild, why would you even think about signing an ex-player in Jack Wilshere who, because of injuries, couldn't cut it and didn't make it to the highest level on a consistent basis? And 2, sign Oxlade-Chamberlain. If Oxlade-Chamberlain was good enough to get you back to the level you want to be, Liverpool wouldn't be loaning him out. And when I say good enough, availability is an attribute. If you're not fit and available, your skill set means nothing. Legitimately, it means nothing. You can't be the best unless you're playing. But what Arsenal doing it is one thing. Arsenal fans, though, Arsenal fans are like, yeah, it'd be great. I just sit there and think to myself, drop the shit, drop the sentiment, drop the crap. And
they can't tell. They can't help it because they kept a manager in a job for a decade too long because of sentiment. Yeah, most of these people have never seen Arsenal win a league title. Yeah, so they've grown up on a decade of Wenger's piss poor excuses about referees, dirty tackles, injuries. We can't compete. we're paying for the stadium. Every single excuse in the book Wenger gave us for a decade. So most of these people, 18 years at the end of this season was last time we won a title. So unless you're in your mid to late 20s, you ain't seen us win a title. Yeah. And if you have, you weren't that old. You were 3, 4. You can't remember it. Yeah. So it's no coincidence that our fans are very sentimental, and especially around players that played under Wenger. And it's no coincidence that they back Wenger's captain that ended the trophy drought. Yeah, in Arteta. He was the captain when we beat Hull City. Yeah. So it all ties in. And the fact in reality is Arsenal fans love to be the victims. I see somebody put a tweet out yesterday talking about, Mike Dean's going to be the referee this weekend for the Palace, or Monday for the Palace. Yeah. So do you know what I did? I went and pulled up Mike Dean's stats referee in Arsenal games. Yeah. 71 games, I think it is, he's ref for Arsenal in all competitions. We've lost 17. Yeah. So statistically, we're decent. Yeah. We win and draw more games with Mike Dean than we do losses. Yeah. So if that stat was the other way around, and we lose more than we win, then you could say Mike Dean's an issue. But it's not. But it's a good story, isn't it? And Arsenal just love to. No, then the next excuse, I've seen this all over social media the last 2 days. How comes we're playing on a Monday and then playing on a Friday? Well, hang on, you want to get back in Europe, mate. So what's the difference between playing on a Wednesday and a Sunday, or a Wednesday and a Saturday, or a Tuesday and a Saturday? It's the same thing. Yeah, we would have had a longer rest period than any other football club. Yeah, because we're playing Monday, then we play Friday. Yeah, so that's 4 days until the next game, but it's still 1 game a week. So what are you crying for?
Yeah, and you only have 1 game a week. Like literally, it's honestly like I hear you completely. Like the referee thing is an absolute madness in terms of referees are in for us. They're out to get us, etc. It's the biggest load of nonsense. It's the excuses FC, and the sentiment side of things. Just it's honestly, but I think it's a popularity thing as well, mate. I think with some Arsenal fans, there is this like it's almost, and this is what's circulating on socials. The popular Arsenal fans are saying it's a good thing. The not so popular or the disliked Arsenal fans are saying it's a bad thing. What camp do I want to sit in? I don't think people tweet and give their opinions based on what they think is right. I think they want to sit in a camp. It's like, I'm either going to be like overtly negative. I don't
want to associate myself with the likes of Lee Gunner, so I'm going to sit in that camp even if I don't believe the crap I'm spewing. Yeah, and then if people like him come out with anything that I don't that I think stupid, yeah, even I might agree with it, what I'll do is I'll say F off down the lane. And that is the go-to answer. Go and support Spurs. Why go and support Spurs? Well, because you agree with me, but you can't argue that and you can't put it out there because then you'll be seen as siding with me. Yeah. And it's like, and people like me, for example. Yeah. And there's loads like that. Like the fact is, yeah, Arsenal was sat in 11th or 12th. We've still got a -4 or 5 goal difference. And the 3 teams we've beaten this season, I expect to beat every season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Norwich, Burnley. Yeah. I've seen people say Burnley away is a tough game. Bro, they have not won a game at home since January. Yeah. How's that a tough game?
Do you know what it is? I think it's. I saw this the other day, and I don't know. I think you liked the tweet or you retweeted it, and I had this out with Gooners, and I'm like, I understand you believe that it's your first ever rebuild. I do believe that's a cap. I do believe that's a fabric. I'm not going to call it a lie, but I'm certainly going to say a complete fabrication of the truth. You might be able to throw a nuance in it. Oh yeah, but we never in the last rebuild we weren't restructuring our scouting system at the same time. So therefore, this is the first proper rebuild. I kind of think there's a little bit of...
The goalposts change, though, every time.
No, I hear you. For me, this is at very least the 4th or 5th time since the Emirates, I'm talking here, there's been a squad overhaul that you've been in the process of. As you've mentioned before, British core, German core. There was the 2 years ago when you had I don't remember his name, but he was the ex sort of head scout and honcho of recruitment at Dortmund was there, and you guys were bringing. Yeah, you had Mislintat, but you brought in the likes of Terrace and the like, and it was and started very well.
Genduzi, Terrace, and Mavropanos.
Yeah, and all these players were going to be something special, and it's now moved on again. I just kind of feel like with Arsenal fans, I understand backing your team, I understand supporting your team, but it also comes a time where I feel like the standards are slowly eroding, because I saw Arsenal fans last weekend or 2 weekends ago when Brentford beat West Ham. Their take was, I told you Brentford were a tough team. I told you Brentford were a hard team. They're going to take points off loads of people this year. And my thought was West Ham. And my thought was, first of all, was like West Ham as an example. And then someone goes, yeah, but they also took points off Liverpool. Yeah, Liverpool had a very bad day in the office.
If you ask all of them same people, Terry, to bring up their tweets, which they've probably deleted, and give their predictions of who's getting relegated this season, I guarantee 90% of them have Brentford in the bottom three. Yeah, guarantee it.
A lot of them might. And do you know what I would say to it, though, is this. Liverpool and City, over the last 3 or 4 years, have seldom, comparatively to Man United and Arsenal, and they're the two examples I'm going to put forward here, drop points on such a regular basis, with such regularity, to the smaller clubs. And when I say smaller or lesser, I'm talking about teams with less money, less power, less pull. Arsenal Football Club have still signed Champions League standard players without Champions League football. Brighton, Brentford, West Ham, these clubs can't do that. And the fact that the fact that sorry. Oh, that's lovely. You go play with Oren then, and I'll see you in a bit. Her friends come around to play. She thought she'd tell me. So there is a situation of like, I get that you can lose points to any team at any point. However, Man United and Arsenal have, over the last 15 or so years, eroded to a point where we're dropping points too easily against these smaller teams. Because of our size, money, pull, and power, I don't think it's a good enough excuse to say all teams are improving. Yes, West Ham and Brighton have got better, but so should you have.
And that's the excuse, right? Whenever I put out there about Unai Emery, because there's no point comparing this manager to a manager that was here 2 decades, There's no point. Yeah, he's been here 2 years in, December? Yeah, so he's been here, 22 months? There's no point comparing him to someone who's been here 10 times longer, or more, right? So you have to compare him to the previous manager, Unai Emery, who was here for 18 months, right? And people wanted Unai Emery sacked. I wanted him sacked in the end, and people wanted him sacked because he finished 5th, apparently bottled the top 4, and got spanked in the final, and then we were sat apparently in a relegation battle. Really, we were about 6 points, 7 points off 4th after 13 games. Do you know what I'm saying? And we sacked him, right? So now the answer is, but the league was easier back then. How was it? How was the league easier? It's only harder now because we've got a worse fucking manager.
Yes, and do you know what's mad though? When people say things like the league was easier back then, what I love throwing into the mix is, well, that means I'm picking Mo Salah then as a better player than Thierry Henry, because Thierry Henry only broke those records in an easier era, right?
Yeah, exactly. You could argue it any way you want.
And that's the problem. I don't think football has become easier or harder. I think it's relative to the era that you're in. And yes, there's more money, which means the Brightons and the Brentfords and the Leicesters and the Wolves have all improved. But as their money is increased, so has yours. And if Man United and Arsenal have been run correctly over the past 15 to 20 years, we would not be far off, if not in front of, the Man Cities and the Liverpools. Because Liverpool, none of the big 6 clubs, barring maybe Spurs, spend small amounts of money. Comparatively to everyone else in the league, over the course of time, we've spent huge. But it's how well you're run. Liverpool have gone toe-to-toe for 3 or 4 years now with Man City without spending as much as Man City. They still spent a bloody lot, but not as much as Man City. If you're managed right, if you employ the right coaches, you should be there or thereabouts.
Right, Brighton's whole squad for the game against us, their whole squad cost less than we spent last summer, or the summer just gone, sorry. So how are they playing us off the park? But then the answer you get to that is, but out of them 21 shots that they had, how many actually troubled the keeper? Okay, well, out of the 30 we had against Norwich then, how many troubled the keeper? Like, they change the goalposts every single week to suit their arguments and their narratives. Like, the fact and reality is, this manager is garbage. That he has had more backing from this football club than anyone. Probably more than Wenger had in the last 5 years of his reign. He's been allowed to do whatever he wants in terms of player recruitment, player sales, bringing in his own staff, doing whatever he wants. Right. And Unai Emery never got that back in. 'Arsene Wenger never got that in the last 5 years, right? And, 'Arsene Wenger never got that back in. 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 'Arsene Wenger ne We are currently 11th or 12th in the league after finishing 8th twice and not being in Europe for the first time in 20 odd years. That is a disgrace. How any Arsenal fan can sit there and tell people like me that I'm negative because I'm calling that bullshit out. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're lying. You're absolutely lying just to get in with the get along gang on Twitter. Because I'm sorry, mate. There's no way I believe anyone who sits there and says we're improving. We're not. We're going backwards, and we've been going backwards since he got here.
When you say you're going backwards, that's kind of a good segue into the next point, really, because I've been told again that the expectations of Arsenal shouldn't be as high as Man United's because our rebuild is at its end point where the squad is ready. And the expectation for Arsenal should be lesser because the rebuild has only just begun. At the same time, though, I'm told that Arsenal's trajectory, because of Mikel Arteta, because of this young, vibrant squad you're building, is better than Manchester United. We've got a poll running right now, and I thought I'd just ask the question betterly. You know, are Arsenal ahead of Man United now? And I'm not talking legitimately in the league. I'm talking as a club. Like, when you look at it, do you feel like you're on the? I mean, you've kind of said it already, but I'll ask you the direct question: do you feel like you're on the road of improvement, or do you feel as though things are only going to get worse?
Mate, this ain't even started yet. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's going to get a lot worse. People seem to think, Terry, right, because we beat Spurs, right, and we battered them, which we do pretty much most years, right? You know, I was there at the 4-2. I've seen us beat them comfortably every season, pretty much. Yeah, for pretty much my whole lifetime. Yeah, we always beat them. So I don't know why we had street parties for it, you know, and we scrambled past Burnley and we scrambled past Norwich. But apparently we've turned the corner and we're now a great team. Well, not really. We've still got a minus goal difference. We've still got a striker that can't score goals. We've still got, you know, problems in midfield. We've still got defenders, albeit they have improved with Tomiyasu and the goalkeeper at the moment. But let's see how that goes in 10, 15, 20 games from now. Because I remember when Petr Cech got dropped for Leno, and everyone was gushing over Leno. Oh, this is the goalkeeper we've always needed. He's a great shot stopper. Well, that's his flipping job, mate, to stop shots. Yeah. So I don't know why people even say, oh, he's a great shot stopper. That's his job, right? And it was an improvement on Petr Cech. So something that's better than what you previously had is going to look an upgrade massively. The fact and reality is we don't know how good Ramsdale is until he's played 20, 30 games. Yeah, and he's played every team in the league. Yeah, because he's come in, and yes, he's been quality so far. But he's only looked really quality so far because Leno was fucking useless to begin with. Yeah, so he's an instant upgrade right now. But Leno was an upgrade on Cech. So do you see what I'm saying? Are these players actually any good? We'll find out. Because we found out that Leno ain't, and people have been banging on for 13 months. He's better than Martinez.
And I would say this as well. I mean, I remember having conversations. Shout out Adam Charles. I remember he triggered. Remember Louis from 100% Chelsea? Louis got so triggered by something that Adam said on the stream about Leno being like the top 3 goalkeepers in the Prem or maybe the world. I have to go watch the video. Louis jumped in the taxi and came to the studio to challenge him. He was so frustrated by it. And I am seeing a lot of that again. And I'm not saying that, again, people twist it. People twist what I'm saying into, Terry, you're just salty because Arsenal won a few more games recently than Man United. Terry, you know, you're not happy for us to just celebrate. I'm like, celebrate winning games, of course. But I've literally heard Arsenal fans in the past 3 weeks talk about title-winning defenses, one of the best goalkeepers in the league, players that are going to be in the top 10 in the world, Partey, one of the best holding midfield players, Aubameyang coming back to life. And my point is, though, but then at the same time of saying all of this, at the same time of saying all of this, the expectations are like, oh yeah, but we'll be happy with 6. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Exactly. So you can't say that we're best at everything, and then we've got the best team in the league and a player in every position.
But then in the same breath, they're like, yeah, but I do think we could finish in front of Man United. And I'm like, okay, so cut all the crap. What do you actually think is going to happen? If you think you're finishing behind Man United, all things being equal, then you're not ahead of us. You might think your trajectory is going to land you in front of us, but that's what you focus on. And what I'm hearing a lot of when you sift through everything, it's, I think in 2 or 3 years we're in front of Man United. So therefore, I'm going to say right now, we're in front of Man United. It's like,
Yeah,
well,
because it makes people look like
that
they're
makes
the
sense.
best supporter. You know, it don't help when you've got the manager of the football club sitting there saying there's a difference between a fan and a supporter. Yeah, because he's saying that I think a supporter will support regardless. Yeah, and a fan is just someone who just supports when they want to, like when it's all going good. No, who even are you? Yeah, how dare you tell me how to support my football club? Yeah, you are a paid employee that can be dispensable, mate. Yeah, every single person at this football club is a paid employee. I support Arsenal Football Club, not Stan Kroenke, not Vinay, not Edu, not none of these players. I couldn't give a shit who wears the shirt. Yeah, if you win football matches and win me enough to win titles, yeah, cool. You'll get my respect. If you put your effort in every single week, even though we're crap, and you show me that you want to play for that football club, yeah, regardless of whether we win every week, if I can see that you're caring and you're bothered and you actually want to be there, then cool, I'll back you. But when I see these players walking around the football pitch not a care in the world, mate, sorry, not having it. And at the end of the day, if this manager's so great and he's the best young coach in world football and the trajectory of this club is flying because of Mikel Arteta, let's see if Newcastle United come in for him then, seeing as he's the best young coach in world football. Yeah, let's see when Poch gets sacked if PSG come in for him. Yeah, let's see if Barcelona want him. Yeah, let's see.
We know we know the answers. We know the answers to that. And like viewers, I want to put this question out to you. I know you've had the poll in terms of Arsenal's trajectory. Whether you think they're better than Man United now, whether you think it's going to take 2-3 years, I just want a yes or a no in the comment section. In 3 years' time, say, will Arsenal Football Club be finishing ahead of Manchester United on a regular basis? Will they be looked at as a better team, a better footballing side? Overall, not they play better football, because Wenger played better football than Fergie, but Fergie did him. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not, you can say that, but are Arsenal going to be in front of Manchester United? Is their trajectory is positive?
No.
I'm just asking, I'm asking the question. And that's the point. I mean, look, for me with Man United, it's simple. There's lots wrong with my club. You instill a world-class manager now. This squad's ready to win the league. So for me, for anyone to suggest they're ahead of Man United is crazy, and it's a madness to me. It really, really is.
The fact is, Terry, right?
Yeah, go on.
If you ask Arsenal fans, the majority will say Ramsdale's one of the best goalkeepers in the league on current form. Yeah, right? They'll say that Tomiyasu is one of the best right backs in the league. They'll say that Kieran Tierney is one of the best left backs in the league. They'll say that Gabriel is one of the best centre backs in the league. They'll say Ben White, oh yeah, he's got the vision and the passing. Yeah, and they complement each other great. Then you go into midfield. Thomas Partey is one of the best midfielders in the league. Then you go next to him and you go, okay, cool. So who should we put next to him? Let's go Smith Rowe, for example. Yeah. Oh yeah, he's going to be in the top 10 players in the world in a couple of years. Martin Odegaard. Oh, the vision, the passing. Oh my God, he's amazing. What a bargain for 30 mil. Bukayo Saka. Oh, he's going to be he's going to be up there for Ballon d'Ors. Aubameyang. Oh, he's back. He's back. And then you could go, I don't know, say Pepe, for example. Oh, no, we don't like Pepe. So out of 11 players, 10 of them are apparently amazing. Then put the manager in that. Why the fuck are we 11th? Why did we finish 8th? Why did we finish 8th the season before?
What I'm looking forward to, mate, is, look, I don't want any rival to do well. I'm a Man United fan. But I'm looking forward to what the excuse... And the reason I fear this is we lost the opening game because we had a COVID outbreak. Last season, it was this. When they go for another bad run... the point is, there's going to be an excuse, and the
excuses have come out already. They've already dropped them. We're playing Monday against Palace and Friday against Villa.
And Mike Dean's there. Mike Dean as well.
Yeah. So there's the excuses.
It's crazy. Yeah? It's crazy.
It's already a pre-excuse ready and waiting. So it's, oh look, but why is it always us? We're supposed to be, they're trying to stitch us up. Arsenal fans genuinely believe that the FA are against us and refs are against us. I'm sorry, mate. That is a load of rubbish.
Mate, absolutely, and I put it this way as well, mate. Like the same stands for like Ollie Inners right now. Like you're in this kind of space of like, well, my view on it is almost in the way of thinking is, you can see now that we're almost ready to move forward. A big article in the Athletic today we spoke about earlier on the channel, focusing very much on the problems that some senior players have with the coaching staff. As an example, there's some problems there, and it's almost people want to bury their head in the sand and not admit that there are not major glaring toxic issues, but are these managers or them and their coaching staff good enough to really elevate the team forward? And Graham Potter is a prime example. with Brighton's spend and the level of player he's got, he shouldn't be able to dominate footballing wise against Arsenal and Manchester United. That isn't an attack at Potter or Brighton. It just shouldn't happen. And I'm sick and tired of I'm sick and tired of the useless excuse that gets pushed back. Spending money doesn't guarantee success. You're absolutely right. But if you spend big money and it doesn't work, the criticism has to be higher, because if your manager's being paid more than Graham Potter, your coaching staff paid more than Potter's, and you're spending more money in one summer than maybe Brighton spending 3 or 4, your wage bill is 3 or 4 times as high. There has to be the expectation to play better football, to dominate the majority of the games that you're in. To remove that expectation for me is a disgrace, and it's just pure weakness for me. It's pure weakness.
I had an argument with somebody the other day, a couple of weeks back. I think it was after the Brighton game. I said I'd take Potter in a heartbeat. Yeah, and it was like, yeah, but was Potter this, Potter that? I said, mate, when was the last time Arsenal won at Anfield? Yeah, or beat Liverpool full stop in a league game? Yeah. And he went, oh, at Anfield, it was 2012. I said, yeah, Potter done it last season. Yeah, with Brighton. Yeah, then when was the last time we beat Man City in the league? 2015? Oh, Potter done it last season. Yeah. So if Graham Potter can beat the 2 best teams in the league with Brighton, with Danny Welbeck and Neil Maupay as his strikers, yeah, do you know what I'm saying? How comes we cannot compete with the likes of Man City and Liverpool on a one-off game basis in the league? How comes we get torn apart by Brighton? If we had given Brighton Lacazette for the game, they would have won 4-0. Yeah, and I don't particularly rate Lacazette, but the chances they were creating, he would have bagged 3 or 4 in that game. If we'd given them Nketiah, they would have won 2-0. Then Neil Maupay spooning chances out the ground. Yeah, and it's like, if you look at his squad cost less than we spent in the summer. Yeah, so you're right. The last 3 or 4 seasons, they've spent less than what we spent in the summer. So their squad's worth less than we spent in the summer on 5 players, yeah? And it's like, you have to look at it logically sometimes, right? Arsenal fans will never rate Graham Potter, right? There's reasons for that. Number 1, he looks like me, right? Or I look like him, right? Number 2, he's an ugly bastard, right? Number 2, yeah, he ain't got nice clothing. He just wears the long overcoat and he's a bit scruffy looking with his beard and his hair, right? Number 3, he don't talk about fancy stuff tactically. He just says it as it is. Yeah, we played well today. Could have done better here and there. We've created a lot of chances. We didn't bury them. That's football. Yeah, that's it. There's no dressing it up and making it sound bigger and better and more dramatic than it is. Yeah, and Arsenal fans will never, ever, ever, if he becomes our manager, which he won't, because the club want a PR guy. They don't want a Graham Potter that knows what he's doing. Yeah, our fans will never back him. The same as Unai Emery. Unai Emery was tactically levels clear of Arteta, but because he looked like Count Dracula, yeah, and he couldn't speak English properly, yeah, our fans just got on his case straight away. Yeah, straight away. If they had this level of patience for Unai Emery, and the club gave Unai Emery the money we've given Arteta on top of what Emery spent, we'd be in a title race. Yeah, I'm adamant, Terry, would be in a title race. He wanted Partey. We gave him Terrace. Yeah, he wanted Zaha. We gave him Pepe. I rate Pepe, but I get why he wanted Zaha. Zaha was ready for now. Yeah. Pepe weren't, he said. That was his excuse. He wanted Harry Maguire, which is a bit iffy, right? And we gave him Socrates.
He's quality, mate. Maguire's quality, but anyway.
We gave him Socrates. And this is what makes me laugh. When our fans sit there and go, oh, yeah, but, you know, we're doing well. We've won 3 in a row. Mate, we went 22 unbeaten with Socrates in defence. Socrates, Lichtsteiner, Bellerin. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, with Guendouzi, apparently the headless chicken that he is, running around in midfield with Granit Xhaka next to him. How did that go 22 unbeaten? I think this manager's only gone 7 unbeaten, ever. That's his longest ever run. So if that manager could go 22 unbeaten... Oh, sorry, I forgot. I'll tell you. Sorry, my bad. It's a harder league now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it gets harder every year. It does. Viewers, do us a big favor and smash that like button while you're here. Please subscribe to the Football Terrace, turn on the bell notifications, and do the same to Lee Gunner's channel. The link is in the title. Any questions you've got for Lee or I, get your super chats in now. Rowe here says, Arteta is a better manager than Ollie. At least he won some trophies. Do you know what I would say is this? I'm not going to agree or disagree, but I don't want either. It's almost, I call it that for me, it's like having a micro penis competition. You might have one that's mine might be an inch. Lee's might be an inch and a half, but Lee ain't going to celebrate that. Like, it's like, yes, it's a micro penis competition. It don't mean too much for me. Like winning. What's interesting is this, right? To be fair, like both our managers have done some good things. Like Ollie's really helped to rebuild so many elements of the club. He's built the squad right. He's got us to a point where we're good enough to compete. He just needs to now be replaced as an example. I'm not sure Arteta has done that. But I remember Ollie made a bit of a dig last year, and people kind of twisted it into like Ollie not wanting to win trophies, but they missed the point where he said you have to look at league positions to gauge progression, not just winning a trophy. Because if Ollie wouldn't have got us back into the top four in this time, and a solid top four team, but had won a League Cup and an FA Cup, would that have been as good for the club? In my opinion, no. Because you look at Arteta, he's won the FA Cup, but as it stands right now, you haven't progressed overall as a football club as it stands. And by the way, I'm not defending
he was the water break champion. That's all he was, mate.
Yeah,
he got lucky. And this is another thing as well. Our fans cry their eyes out about VAR, stitch us up and all that, yeah? Right? Let's have it right here. VAR pretty much won us that FA Cup, right? Because we had 2 goals disallowed. Oh, sorry, Sheffield United had 2 goals disallowed against us for offside. Yeah? If VAR hadn't have given them, Sheffield United would have knocked us out in the quarters. Yeah, and then Danny Ceballos scored in 90th minute or whatever it was. Yeah, when we get to the final, VAR gave a second yellow to Kovacic, I think it was.
Yeah.
When you watch that back, Xhaka actually stamped on him, so it should have been a second yellow for Xhaka. Yeah, and this is and then at Old Trafford, everyone stops for offside. Aubameyang dinks the goalkeeper. Yeah, he wheels away. It goes to VAR. No, he's onside, but everyone stopped. Yeah, so it's like nobody talks about them VAR decisions, do they? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like for me, Terry, yeah, Ollie's crap, right? Ollie is crap. He's got a better squad. If you swap them 2 teams around, 2 managers around, I don't think he'd be anywhere near a title still. But I also don't think you'd drop any further, perhaps. Maybe you would. Maybe you would actually get out of the top 4 because this manager likes to micromanage everything, yeah? And this is what makes me laugh with it, right? So you've got a whole week to get your team together. And like the Brighton game, for example, from the game against Spurs to the Brighton game, we had a whole week, right? So he's on the training field for a week, getting his tactics and everything, game plan set up for that game, yeah? So why the fuck are you standing up for 90 minutes directing people around the football pitch? Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because you don't trust your fucking game plan. Yeah, Graham Potter was sat there like that for 90 minutes. Yeah, and he got up the odd time to have a little whisper to his number 2 about sex.
I also think, because I don't think being overtly animated makes you better or worse a manager. I think we go through these moments where, like, Ollie sits there quite still and it still went quite right. Pep's very animated and it is quite right. I just think if you've got it right, you've got it right. And I agree with you completely. I look at Mikel Arteta and Ollie, and they are just good. They're just at the elite end of the spectrum. They're just good managers. They're never going to be able to win league titles or Champions Leagues, either of them, in my opinion, irrespective of how good their squads are. What troubles me, though, is most Man United fans, even Ollie inners, they don't look at Ollie as this brilliant coach. They're talking about, it's Ollie for right now. It's needed as we're building other things and everything else. And I kind of agree with that to an extent because he has done a lot of great things behind the scenes that have been revealed that were needed. And I'm not saying that Arteta isn't helping in that capacity either. The difference is a lot of Arteta supporters are talking about him as a tactical genius in the making. Potential to be one of, we had it on our show the other week, man, like Harry and everybody else was saying potential to be one of our greatest ever managers.
Based on what?
But that's my point. It's like there is saying we need him right now. If we need him right now in this rebuild, he's not the best in the world, but it's the over egging of I think he's going to be absolutely
but
amazing.
They don't believe it, Terry. That's my point. If you put me up against any of these people that are saying he's going to be one of the greatest managers we've ever seen in the world, put me up against one of them people and I'll just close them up all ends up, mate, because the fact and reality is they cannot give me any good reason, to back that. All they'll come out with, oh yeah, but we're changing the structure of the club. No, we're not. How are we changing the structure of the club? Oh yeah, but he's going down the youth route. Oh really? Okay, so why did we sign William then? Yeah, how comes we're giving a new contract to 28-year-old Granit Xhaka? How comes we gave a new contract to Aubameyang, who's 30? How comes Lacazette's still at the football club? Yeah.
How comes you
Well,
might
do
be
you know what I mean?
re-signing? How comes you might be re-signing Wilshere and the Ox? Like,
And that's
mate,
the thing.
I want it to
And then
happen.
the
I
argument they
want
come
to see
out
the
with,
spin.
Tel,
I want to see the spin on that. I want to see the spin on it.
the
Can't
argument
wait.
they come back out with after that, though, Terry, is, yeah, oh, yeah, but listen, Rome wasn't built in a day, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but, you know, you've got to give it time. You've got to do that. You know, he's got his team now. It's his team. Okay, so then you say to him, okay, cool. So where do you expect us to finish now? He's got his team. Oh, well, if we can just get back into Europe. All right, so now you're saying sixth or seventh is cool. Oh no, I don't want the Conference League. We have to get Europa League. Okay, so the same Europa League that wasn't good enough for Unai Emery 2 years ago, yeah, is now that's the limit now. That's where you need us to be under the most generational football coach in world football, who's got all of his players that he wants now. Yeah, tactics level 100. You're chatting shit. Like, just stop chatting crap. Yeah, like, genuinely say it as it is. But people won't say it as it is because still right now, the majority of people are backing this manager. Yeah, as soon as Brentford beat us, the majority wanted him out. As soon as we dropped Martin Odegaard and Aaron Ramsdale on the table, all of a sudden that's forgotten, swept under the carpet, bish, bash, bosh. We're now playing Chelsea. Yeah, nobody cared. Nobody cared about protests.
Mate,
I can't say the flip and flop, mate. Why don't you people just say it as it is? Yeah, because you just make yourselves look stupid all season. Like, genuinely, like, you know, going from game to game, cool, I understand that you know, your feelings will change from win to loss and draw, yeah? But to change your opinion on a football manager from 3 straight losses to 3 straight wins, I'm sorry, mate, you're chatting bollocks.
I hear you on that. Viewers, I would love your take on that. Of course, the Premier League is kicking off again this weekend. Please make sure you've all hit that like button. Get that done right about now for us. Yeah, I am looking at you, Sam, and you, Nazir, and you, Daniel, and Diego. I'm looking at all of you. Make sure you've hit the like button for us right now. I want to change the subject slightly for a moment to Courtois. Courtois, of course, a bit of a rant, really, I would say, after the third place playoff, really, for the European Nation League. Essentially, paraphrasing a lot of what he said, frustrated at the level of games that football players are being made to play. He stated that, you know, that the authorities were angry with things like the Super League, but actually they only care about lining their pockets. All these extra football matches are purely to make money. The Conference League that's been created, the fact that you know the Euros and the World Cup are so close to one another, coupled in with World Cup qualifications and Nations Leagues. We all kind of feel it at the beginning now. This the start of the Premier League season, it's like 3 weeks international, 3 weeks international, another 3 weeks. It's another international break in November. The season feels like it's stuttering and starting. What's your take on what Courtois said? Do you think he it stands to reason that the players are being kind of mistreated and mishandled and they're at risk of major injury? Or are you the other end of the spectrum where you think you're being paid tens of millions, the players at that level, tens of millions of pounds a year, shut up and get on with it?
He's right that FIFA and UEFA are all about money. That's fact. But at the same time, the geezer's pocketing 14.5 million quid a year. Yeah, how about swap and go and do a nurse's job? Yeah, on 20 grand a year or 15 grand or whatever the nurse is earning, yeah? You don't know what hard work is, mate. Like, genuinely, fair play to anyone who makes it a high-end football because you have grafted to get into a position and you're clearly good enough to get into that position. Or you've got family that have fast-tracked you and you're living off your dad's name or cousin or nephew's name or whatever, like a lot of these players do, right? But you're getting paid 200-odd grand a week to stand in between the sticks and have a ball fly at you and you have to save it. What the fuck are you crying for? I think every single one of us that's watching this in the chat, me and you, yeah, and any other football fan in the world, if you said to him, here's 200 grand a week, here's the gloves, you play for Madrid now, you'd snap their hands off. Yeah, so I'm sorry, mate. No, I'm not having what I agree with some of the stuff that he said. It was the way that he said it. Yeah, and it was like, I'm poor, hard done by me. Oh, we're so hard done by us footballers. Mate, you live in the nicest houses. You drive the nicest cars. You eat the finest food. You fly in the private jets, VIP everywhere you go. You play for some of the biggest football clubs in the world. You're getting paid stupid amounts of money to kick a bag of leather air about. And you're fucking crying because you have to play an extra tournament. Whoopee. Yeah, whoopee. Don't play in it then. Pull an injury, make an injury up and don't play in it then. Because as far as I'm concerned, they get paid to play for their country. They get paid a fee to play for their country, don't they? What's he crying for? Yeah, and if the geezer's injured, because he was banging on about injuries, yeah. If the geezer's injured, I'm also right in saying he gets paid whilst he's injured, yeah.
Yep, most.
There you go then. Zip it, Courtois.
Do you know what it is? I agree with a large extent with what you're saying, because from my standpoint, it's you don't need to play for your country. You're choosing to. It's still a personal choice you are making. All this money that UEFA and FIFA are supposedly only interested in, and I don't disagree. They are only really interested in making money. They want to make great football tournaments and they want to create great football, but they want to make money from it. The players now are so well compensated for that. Players are earning that fair share. So I think it's really hypocritical to earn colossal amounts of money and then to moan about how the organization is making its money. It's the reason you're being paid so much is because there is so much football. There's so much football on television. There's so much football being beamed around the world.
Which brings in advertisers, sponsorship deals, commercial deals, your private owned boot deals, and all the commercial deals you get off of the back of that, like Gillette razors and stuff like that, yeah? And it's like, it's very hypocritical to sit there and cry about it when you're making an absolute king's ransom out of it. Like, it's pathetic. That geezer's nicking 14 million quid a year.
I couldn't agree more. And I think if you're a player that's worried about it, then when you sign your contracts, put that stipulation in. I don't want to play at risk of injuring myself long term.
Yeah, just retire from international football. It's job done then, isn't it?
That or cap yourself to a certain amount of games. But if they said, oh, look, I can only look internationally and club wise, I only want to play a maximum 55, 60 games a season for both club and country. So I'm limiting myself to 10 internationals and 50 club games. You'll just get paid less. Those clubs, they might still accept it. They might not, but they might turn around and go.
No disrespect though, right? He's a fucking goalkeeper. It's not like he's doing 10 kilometers every game.
And I get that. But
he just dives around every now and again.
No, of course.
And he's got gloves on.
But even if you're not a goalkeeper, if you're a defender saying it, a striker saying it, a midfielder saying it, like you have choices here. Nobody is forcing you to be a football player. It isn't like, as you say, like they're not getting work as hard as where I find it hard to be sympathetic is when we've had documentaries and there was a great drama, and I forget the female actor's name, but Graham, the Scouse lad, did recently. I think it was called Help, and it was all about what care workers went through in care homes during COVID. Look at what nurses went through during COVID. Look what the people suffering with real mental health issues went through during COVID. Jobs going, no money, trapped indoors. That's where my sympathy goes. I'd struggle listening almost in any capacity to millionaires and billionaires moaning about how hard their lives are. Now, they can have mental health issues. They can have physical health issues, and they need the same respect as any other human being when it comes to those matters. But your life still isn't as hard. You know, you can have. I've got a friend of mine who he survived, fortunately. Very wealthy lad. He got cancer a few years ago, and you know we were all kind to him and nice to him, and was like, "How did you get over it?" And I remember him saying this to me, and it stood out. He said, "You know what though?" He said, "I was in like I'd sit in there having." And I'm going to reveal this. I'm not going to say his name, so I don't know who he is. But he was sitting in having chemotherapy, and he got talking to people, and he was like, "I'm sad. Of course, I'm sad and upset that I've got cancer." But he was like, "I was chatting to people that have like only got like 2 months sick pay, and they're too ill to go back to work. People that were about to go back, you know, falling out of education. People who've got 3 or 4 kids to support, and goes, they're on low wage incomes, and like not only are they ill and maybe dying, like their lives financially are falling apart." And he was like, I don't ever have to work again. Like it could still be, even in his situation, it was like the world could be worse. And it was a really eye-opening moment for me where you're sort of like, yeah, do you know what? Sometimes it's not right. Of course he deserves sympathy, but he was like, don't give me the sympathy. These people really need it. And I thought, what a strong man. He wasn't trying to, everyone like
for me, look at me. Yeah.
He was still like, there are millions of people with the same illness as me that are in 100 times worse positions. And I know that's I wouldn't say it's a warped example. It's an extreme example, yes. But that's how I feel when I see these situations. I get you feel you're playing too many games. But when you're being paid that amount of money, when all these new competitions and sponsors get involved, you're the ones earning the money off the back of it. It's the fans who end up paying more, traveling more, costing them more, working class people being made to pay more, TV prices going up. The fact that now if you want to consume sport, you've got BT, you've got Sky, you've got DAZN, you've got box offices, you've got
Amazon.
all these things, Amazon, that you've got to pay for to watch it. And we do it because we love it. And then you moan that you have to play so much. I just find it a little bit...
There's a comment in here from a guy called Matt. He says, to be fair, they're not robots. They have training each day for like 4 days a week and then have so many games. Mate, they literally train for 3 hours a day. Yeah. So let's assume that they train 4 days and then they play 2 games a week, right? So they're doing 12 hours of training and it's light training. If you watch Arsenal's training ground set up, they're having a giggle all the time. It's hardly hard work. It's like they're going to meet their mates and having a kickabout. Right, then they play for 2 games, let's say, each week. Yeah. So let's assume that the majority of the players, the first 11, will play 90 minutes. So they're playing 180 minutes worth of football in a week, and they're doing. So what's that? That's 12, about 14 hours worth of work. 15 hours. Yeah, 15 hours if they do the 180 minutes. Yeah, 15 hours a week, and they get flown around first class, VIP everywhere, and take anywhere over 100 grand a week. And then they've got the audacity to cry about it. Yeah, sorry, mate. I don't feel sorry for him at all.
No, I mate, you're right. And you know what? There's a comment here from Gunner King, good guy Gunner King. He says there are metrics on both sides. It isn't sustainable to keep scheduling games like this. It erodes the quality of standard by replacing it with quantity. And I do think there's an element of truth to it. And I don't think everything that Courtois said is wrong. I think they do need to look at the scheduling for a number of reasons. But don't bemoan, UEFA are only doing it for money. When you're earning
when
that
you're
money,
taking the majority
when you're
money.
taking it, it doesn't make, because you don't need it, you know, do it a different way. You know, speak to the LMA, speak to the player associations. You know, if you think legitimately it's going to lead to more injuries and more problems, speak to the doctors, speak to the physios, the sports scientists. Come in with some facts and a business case to say we have to reduce this, and also say we as footballers are willing to take a pay cut if the money falls out of it. But that's what they won't do. If football tomorrow said, for whatever reason, we're going to reduce the amount of game by 20%, but you're losing 20% pay because there's 20% less
up in arms.
They'd be up in arms. And that's why I don't believe them. And by the way, if they were in the final and winning the final, he wouldn't be moaning. Nothing. He wouldn't be moaning. You know,
let's be real. That comment that was put in, big up to him as well. Yeah. I kind of agree, but on the same time, I disagree, because if he weren't playing in the Nations League, he'd be playing for Real Madrid in La Liga. Because that Nations League wouldn't have took place. There wouldn't have been an international break, and he'd be playing for La Liga away to, I don't know, Espanyol or Getafe or someone, slapping them 4-0. Yeah, and he wouldn't be crying about games then. It's only because he's had to get on a private jet, he's had to fly to Italy, meet up with his teammates, blah, 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 and then they've got done. Yeah,
of course. And then you get clubs.
So he's salty.
Right? But you also get clubs at the moment. The clubs that are too many international games. Yeah. And then you guys go on postseason and pre-season tours all around the world. Why? To make money. And
we did a tour of Dubai to open a stadium in Dubai midway through the season on a break, an international break. Yeah, I think it was an international break, or it was, I think it was international break. And most of our players didn't go on their international duty because we don't have many internationals, right? So we went and opened a stadium in Dubai and played a game in Dubai. Why? Money. Yeah, we do tours of wherever, like Australia, America. Man United do it as well. Yeah, I remember you played Real Madrid. I think Martial scored a mad goal in that game. Yeah, in a pre-season friendly. Yeah, you know, we played in Singapore against PSG and I think it was Inter Milan, maybe. Yeah, why? Why are we going all over the world playing these then? Why aren't people crying about that? Money. Exactly. Because the player could say, well, actually, I don't want to do a pre-season tour. I don't want to do a mid-season tour. Yeah, I don't want to do my international duty. I'm retiring from international. I just want to play Premier League games and domestic cup games. And if we're in Europa League or any former Champions League, I'll play them. Other than that, I'm doing nothing. If he gets that written into his contract, Aubameyang, for example, let's just use him as the example, is 370 grand a week, is now 270 grand a week. Is he saying yes to 100 grand a week pay drop? That's £5 million a year.
Yes, it's never going to happen.
4 years, that's 20 million quid.
And I agree. Listen, we're hearing millionaires moan about how hard they're working when they're not, when
saying that sentence is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, again, and they're not doing what I would consider to be if you're a millionaire because you're the best heart surgeon in the world, but you're being overworked and it's leading to you being tired and you're scared that you're going to kill someone, That makes sense. I get that. That's a legitimate gripe. Do you know what I mean? But this isn't like that, and it's an interesting one. Everyone, the mixed feelings in the comment section, which we get. Make sure like button's being smashed. Brent,
if somebody came up to you, Terry, and said, "There you go. There's 14 million quid a year, right, to do 3 hours a day training, yeah, for 4 days a week, and then go and play 180 minutes worth of football, right, and you'll get 14 million quid a year. You'll also get a boot deal out of it, which will be extra." You'll also get a sponsorship deal here, and you get to go and promote this here and promote that there, and you'll get a few quid, and then you can do after dinner speeches when you retire and all that crap, and you'll get paid a few grand a show for that. Yeah. Instead, you can sit on the football terrace, Terry, and you can talk to YouTube. Yeah. What are you doing?
Oh, YouTube.
Because you work harder than Courtois, mate. Let's be real. You work harder than Courtois.
Do you know what's
in a different way?
Do you know what's interesting about it? There's a comment here from the Alienator that says players do 30 hours per week of training, and they do. And I used to do 30 to 35 hours a week of training when I was.
Depends if they're doing double sessions, and most of these teams that are the top tier teams won't be, because they'll be doing their 4 hours, because they'll play on a Sunday, for example, because they're in the Champions League. Yeah. So they play Sunday. Say Real Madrid, for example, they'll play Saturday or Sunday this week. Then they'll play Tuesday or Wednesday in the Champions League. Then they'll play on the Sunday again. So what they'll do is on the Monday they'll have a rest day, yeah, or they'll just do a little bit of light training, yeah, just little warm downs and jogging and stuff like that, stretching in the gym and that, yeah, and yoga and stuff. Then on the Tuesday, yeah, they'll be getting like a little bit more in preparedness for their Wednesday Champions League game. Wednesday, they'll do a light little warm-up before the game. That's it. They ain't training 30 hours a week for your Champions League team.
And I was going to say, bro, but even if they are, there's two things I'd pull on here. Is I used to train to that level, and I wish I could go back to those days, but I can't. I'm too old. The amount of footballers that retire and they're like, I now want it back. My message to these young players is, I know you're tired. And Twisted Bubba here says they've got a family and a life too, and I know they've got families. And I know they want more of a life, and I know they want more downtime. But I've never spoke to or watched a show where you speak to an ex-footballer where they don't say, I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back and enjoy. I think a lot of these players, they need to have their perspective changed. This is the greatest time of your life. And yes, you might want 5 less, 10 less games a season, more, a few more hours at home with your family, but you're doing a job. And this is what I would say to any footballer. And if it doesn't resonate with them, that's on them. You're doing a job which could generate for you the status and the money so that your great grandchildren never have a financial concern again, where your family is made for life, where you can set a standard up of education, of privilege and opportunity. Whether you're born in on a council estate in England, a favela in Brazil, or wherever it may be, you can build something that transcends beyond your life. That, for me, 15 years or so of, yes, massive sacrifice. You're not there to put your children to bed every day. You're not there for breakfast every day. You're not there most weekends. You're not there during the summers a lot. It is something to sacrifice, and that's painful. But I'd be willing to sacrifice that to give the potential life to my family afterwards, because you are a hell of a long time retired. And when I listen back to stories of footballers, some of them threw their money away. Some of them didn't earn enough. Some of them have got into deep depressions after the game ended. This generation of footballers are earning more than ever before. They can set up these amazing lives for people. But at the same time, I'll be imploring them to enjoy this. Enjoy it, because once it's gone, it's gone. It's over.
Hey, go and ask an England cricketer when they're on tour, yeah, and they don't see their family for 6 months, yeah. Like, go and ask them about whether they can kiss their kid goodnight. And they're getting paid a fraction of a professional footballer. Any professional footballer, yeah, that has made it as a professional footballer in the top tier, or even any tier. If you're a professional footballer in any league in the world, well done. Yeah, because you've had to sacrifice somewhere along the line, or your parents have, or, you know, you've had sleepless nights, you've had to beg, steal and borrow to make it, yeah? Like somebody mentioned about Sadio Mane. Like, especially players from Africa and places like that and South America, where they've literally had nothing, yeah? They have made it, and they deserve every penny they get, some of them, yeah? Right? But don't come out, start moaning about how hard you have had to, oh, we can't do this, and, you know, it's all about money for FIFA and UEFA. Sorry, mate, you're in a game that is a mercenary game, yeah? Why don't you then, Courtois, say, bollocks, I'm going to donate half of my money to charity every week? Yeah, why don't you say, actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I love playing for my country, so I don't want the £1,000 fee that I get or £2,000 fee. I'll donate it. Probably does. Most of them do. Yeah, most of them do. Right? Why is it that you sit there and moan and bitch and cry, yet you and your agent colluded together to take 274 grand out of Real Madrid every week? Why didn't you say, well, I'll tell you what, it's all about the money for FIFA and UEFA. Just give me 74 grand, mate. Why didn't you do that then? Yeah, because you thought you were worth more than that, and rightly so. The same as FIFA and UEFA think you lot as a collective are worth more than 2 tournaments, and now they want a 3rd. Yeah, it's all relative. And the fact is, every single person that enjoys and watches football would swap with these people in a heartbeat. The fact is, we ain't good enough. Yeah, these people are good enough. Well, not all of them. Some of them are nicking a living big time. Yeah, Courtois not. He's a good goalkeeper. Yeah, but don't come out and moan when you were touching 15 million a year, my friend.
I think that's what it comes down to. Is there's a loss of, as we said, perspective and reality in many ways, and people don't. Sometimes I don't. And
Sorry
it's hard
to cut you off, Tel. There's a guy in your chat that says, "Why don't you donate? Yeah, he earns what he deserves, so you can cry and he can't. Yeah, it's jealousy. Get a life." I weren't the one crying about it, mate. He's still on national TV and global TV crying about FIFA and UEFA. Yeah, well, guess what? FIFA and UEFA, FIFA and UEFA are earning what they deserve as well, my friend.
Do you know what? It's funny.
And they're using these little pawns underneath them as the tool to make them money.
But it's one of these things for me where you sometimes hear, every now and then you hear like a singer or an actor come out with things where they're like, oh, it's really hard on sets and hard, and they're like, yeah, it's hard, but I'm not going to complain. I got paid £20 million for this film. It's like I'm going to endure that, you know, for the money at the end of it. And that's my view. I think what sometimes happens in these worlds, because Courtois will live in most footballers do at that level. They live in a very isolated bubble in the football world. And in their little world, it's sometimes very easy to moan and bitch and cry about how hard things are. But then it's not until you come out of that world and you look at other people's lives or stand in other people's shoes. Because I guarantee you, if Courtois gave all these money, you know, they do that thing like Undercover Boss. You ever seen that show, Undercover Boss?
Secret Millionaire and Undercover Boss and stuff like that. Yeah.
If you did that kind of thing, took Courtois out, decorated him up, and stuck him in the life of a Chelsea fan, like a working class, you know, works in Iceland, barely any money, Chelsea fan who, like, every penny he earns, he puts towards this. And I bet if you stuck him in that. I bet if you stuck him in that life for a week and made him live on their budget and everything, I bet he'd walk away and be like, yeah, just add 10 more games, add 20 more games. I don't want to go back. I guarantee he would. And that's why I don't have much sympathy.
Mate, these people do not stop going to these events and award ceremonies and stuff, yeah? Right? And people are saying, yeah, but that's their own personal time. Well, it's not. Yeah, in a way it is, but it's not, because it's still in the footballing bubble. Yeah? They don't have to go to an award ceremony that they're not involved in. Yeah, but they want to go there because, oh, look at me, I'm on the red carpet. Yeah, you ain't getting an award though, my friend. So why are you there? Oh, well, I'm there because I'm part of the football community. Well, why don't you go and spend time with your wife and kids that you're moaning about, and like recoup and rest and sit and chill, mate? Have a swim, go to a spa weekend. Yeah, because if you're that concerned about injuries and this and that, mate, these people chat absolute bollocks. They have got the best sports science in the world now at football clubs. They've got the best physiotherapists. They've got the best medicine. They've got the best technology. They've got the best of everything at these football clubs, Terry. Yeah, for him to stand there and moan and cry about another tournament and it's all about money. He has a point that it is all about money. Yeah, with FIFA and UEFA, it always has been. But at the end of the day, you knew the game. Yeah, don't hate it because you've made an absolute fortune out of football. Yeah, and they've always been the governing bodies. So what, you cried because your team got knocked out? Is that what you're saying? Because if, like you said, if they'd got to the final and won it, he wouldn't have said a fucking word.
Yeah, mate, totally agree. Viewers, smash that like and share, but I want to know what you're thinking and you're feeling and you're saying. Brent here says, Shelby versus Xhaka, who gets into your starting 11?
Shelby.
No, I'll pick Xhaka myself. I'm going to pick Xhaka now on that one. Hang on. What's it say? Sorry, someone saying something about my kids. Someone messaged me saying, every time you stop the show to talk to your kids, I like you even more. Whatever the show is, if your children are your life and you work for them because of that. You're the best YouTuber in my eyes. Thank you very
Sure,
much, my
mate.
friend who sent that message. Do you know what's interesting about the kids stuff as well? Like I love being on YouTube, but it's a very antisocial job, especially as I cover every top 6 teams games. I'm very rarely around.
You're saying that you're doing too much, Tel, and you need to have a break.
No, but it's the thing is, for me, there's a means to an end. I know what I'm doing and I know where I want to be in life, and it is for them. And I am willing to sacrifice seeing friends, seeing family, doing what I want to do to give them 3 little Herberts who I hate most of the time, to be fair. Like, I may meant to love the kids, but I don't. Like, I hate them. But but that's what I do it for. And I again, it's a perspective thing. I don't know about it. I just remember back to how hard life was growing up. And I never want my children to experience. I mean, my daughter, like sometimes I have to rein her in a bit because we went to someone's house once and she asked where their swimming pool was. And I was like, no, like, don't ever ask that. It's a bad question to ask people. And I'm like, yeah, not everyone has one. You're very lucky. You have to understand you're really lucky to have one. I'm feeling it.
Well, sorry, Tel, right? I've seen a lot of comments in this chat, about career-threatening injuries and this and that. Okay, please name me 10 players at high-end football, i.e. Champions League level football, that have had a career-threatening, i.e. finished their career, injury in the last 10 years. Name me 10 players, 1 a year. Come on, it should be easy. There's thousands of footballers that play in Champions League. So people can bang on about career-threatening and this and that, Look at the guy that Harvey Elliott. How many games has he played? He ain't played 100 games a year. He ain't played 70 games. He's played, 20 games, 10 games? He could have had a career-threatening injury the other day. So stop chatting waffle, man. At the end of the day, these players know what they're getting into. Half of these players don't even like football. They just got good at it. Danny Rose and Bellerin, 2 players that openly admit they don't like the game. They're happy to take 100 grand a week out the game, though, aren't they? Do you know what I'm saying?
No, listen, I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's one of those things where if you can show me some scientific evidence that's leading to career-threatening injuries, then we can have a conversation. Ian here says accountants could work in a billionaire company and complain about the aircon not being good enough. I think it means aircon with AC. But there are coal miners without quality protective gear. Should the accountant not complain? So of course you can. Well, yes and no. You can complain if your room's sweltering and you're sweating and you can't breathe too great. You complain about it.
Yeah, but the billionaire company wouldn't have shit aircon. Let's be real.
But the point is, it's relative. It's how you sound. I don't know what the accountant's earning. The accountant's earning 200 grand a year. It's like if he goes home to his wife and is like, "I'm the most mistreated employee in the world because the aircon's not working," then he's wrong. If it's, "Can you sort the aircon out, please? It's a little bit warm in here," or "It's a little bit too cold," that's very different. It's the way Courtois and some footballers talk is like they're being hard done by. It's like they're being exploited, like they're being mistreated or abused. There's a fundamental difference. They're playing an extra 4 or 5 games a year. That isn't testament to at work abuse. Like it's crazy to me. Like you're talking about a miner that could die through not having a mask and a footballer playing an extra 2 or 3 games. It's not comparable. It's not comparable.
No, and listen, nobody in the chat can give me anyone really. Eduardo was 2008, so that's over 10 years ago, mate. People are saying Ericsson. Well, that wasn't an injury as such. It wasn't a tackle. It was just whatever genetics, I suppose. Like,
well, it was an underlying non-detected illness,
health issue. You're saying,
which could have happened at any time. A few people are saying it was wrong. It was wrong to bring up Harvey Elliott. It wasn't. He was making the point that Harvey Elliott's career-threatening injury didn't happen because he's playing too many games. It can just happen.
Yeah, mate, at the end of the day, you could walk out onto the football pitch on your debut, right, and get 2-footed, and that's the end of your career. That's not because you've played 60 games a season and flown all over the world playing these tournaments, 7, 8, 9 tournaments. Raul Jimenez, first person that's actually, and Ryan Mason and Petr Cech. Thank you very much. 3 people in the chat. That actually know what they're talking about. Because at the end of the day, when people say about career-threatening injuries, there's no evidence to suggest that that is coming off of the back of playing extra games. You could do it in the first game, which is why I mentioned Harvey Elliott. He's barely played for Liverpool, and he could have finished his career the other week.
Of course, right? and you are right. And a lot of the names I'm seeing in the list of people, someone saying like, what happened to Eriksen? Again, they've already spoke about it. He's got a heart condition. He didn't have a heart condition because he's played too much football. If honestly, if footballers playing 60 games a season was leading to cardiac arrests, it would be happening to people with healthy hearts. If there's an underlying heart condition, playing an extra 4 or 5 games doesn't. Well, every game you play puts you at risk, but there's an underlying issue there. The other people you mentioned are like injuries. Someone mentioned Dean Ashton. I do believe Dean Ashton said that his ankle, like with deterioration of his ankle, but he retired 10, 15 years ago. It's nothing to do with too many games now. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense.
Same as Eduardo. So the fact is, the only 3 that the people have put in there so far that are legitimate, that you could say, yeah, cool, yeah, Ryan Mason, Petr Cech, and Raul Jimenez. That's 3 players out of how many thousands of players in world football. And guess what? It's got nothing to do with how many games they were playing. Yeah. And this is my point. Just because you're playing an extra 4, 5, 6, even 20 games a season doesn't mean that you're going to end up having a career-threatening injury, because all 3 of them players, Ryan Mason weren't playing 65 games a season. Yeah. Raul Jimenez weren't playing 65 games a season. Petr Cech definitely weren't.
I totally hear it. And people talk about leg breaks and stuff. That's not relevant. And I get that some players have collapsed on pitches and stuff like that. But when the autopsies come in, or the medical results are revealed afterwards, there's an underlying health condition that often go very undetected, which is a shame. Maria Williams says, I think it's about counting our blessings. Footballers need to remember how privileged they are. Being humble costs nothing. I couldn't agree. Couldn't agree with you more when you say that. Absolutely. Do you guys not understand mental health? Just because they are earning doesn't mean they are robots. Well,
what's
again,
sorry. Hold up. Sorry. Did Thibaut Courtois say anything about mental health in his interview? Because as far as I remember, he never. And if he did, I must have missed it. Not only that, did he care about the head of UEFA and FIFA's mental health when he was slagging him off?
Well, that's the point. He didn't mention his mental. If he said that this amount of football, if a footballer says this amount of football and time away from my family is deteriorating my mental health, then between him, his club, and his nation, they come to an agreement to make him play less football, and nobody's going to be against that. He spoke about injuries and about it all being about making money whilst earning off the back. He goes on to say, "Please stop. Doing YouTube isn't even a job, and people complain about footballers." Well, I mean, my guy, you have not. Again, listen.
Should we do a challenge for Fede? Is it Fede or Fed? Maybe he is a Fed. We better behave here. No, should we do a challenge for him? We'll help you set up a YouTube channel. Me and Tel, we'll help you set up a YouTube channel. Yeah, and we'll see if you can go full time in a year. 6 months, which is what I did it in 6 months. We'll give you an extra 6 months. Do you reckon you could go full time in a year? Should we see how hard you have to work to go full time? Should we do that? If you don't make it, cool. At least we've helped you. Yeah, and we've got you out there and we've helped you as much as we can. Should we see how hard it is now? Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of them ones. Again, a few people were saying you can't disagree with Terry without him mocking, but it's not about disagreeing. He's mentioned it, mental health, which wasn't brought up, and that's what we're disagreeing with. It's not a point, The condition of Christian Eriksen, as sad as it was, it's because he had a heart condition. That is why it happened, And I think for me, like I've said, if someone can show me, for instance, like the concussion stuff that's come up recently, that's something that needs to be taken so seriously, because it's a real thing here. And there is calls for things like headering of the balls to potentially stop, and if they discover that headering the ball is legitimately leading to exorbitant amounts of things like dementia and Alzheimer's, then they have to address it as a sport, because to a degree, but then at the same time, human beings are actually, this is where we get into like really slippery slope, and it's another conversation for another day, right? But then you get into the realms of people saying, but I'm a free human being, I can do what I want. Who are you to control me? So Joshua here says, Terry, FIFA Pro, aka the Players Union, has said the Eriksen incident was a warning that players can't keep playing this many games. And that may be a warning, but my point is this.
If they were that concerned, they would have stopped the Euros full stop, wouldn't they?
My point is this: if I get shown the evidence that it's leading to football players being at higher risk of heart attacks and strokes and things like this, then we can talk. But I haven't read one. If you've got it, and I mean this sincerely, One sec, so DM me the link. Show me where the FIFA Pro saying they're being played too much, but I haven't seen. And there's dozens of reports of this happening. Show me.
Have you ever seen Messi crying that he plays too much and he has to fly to South America every week
it's not,
for an international game?
It's not even that for me. It's more if this stuff's happening and thousands of professional footballers are at risk of a heart attack at any moment because of the games they're playing. Show me where that's being stated by doctors and cardiac specialists, and I'll change my tune. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. It's not about saying that they're not. It ain't happening. If you're making the claim, there's got to be some evidence behind it. FIFA Pro, the players' union, like show me what they're citing from. If doctors, like I've already said, if doctors and sports scientists are saying actually this extra 10 games a season these players are doing, it's doing X, Y, and Z, and it could lead to these 3 or 4 major health conditions, then we need to have that conversation. But until I can be cited and shown that, I don't know.
Well, maybe players shouldn't have contracts that say they have to play every game or half the games or a third of the games. Fede came back, by the way. He said, okay, let's set up a team in the 6th tier and see if you can start earning 300 grand a week. Mate, I wasn't the one crying about how many games they were playing. It was Courtois. I also never mentioned that it weren't a job, because football is a job. I just said that they're very privileged to be getting paid a stupid amount of money, and they're not working anywhere near as hard as other people in normal jobs. Yeah, so I don't know why you've replied with that. Do you want to set up a channel or not? Because you said that YouTube's not a job. I never said football wasn't a job. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And listen, and like
Big
I've
up for
said,
watching, by the way.
no, look, and like I've said, I mean, I get that the players' union have said that Eriksen's situation happened because he was playing too much. That doesn't read like the medical report that I read, that there was an underlying condition, because if it was playing too much, then players with no conditions would also be suffering the same horrible fate, and they're not, as far as I can see. So I don't get it. You get paid for your expertise, not the amount of work you do. Lol, you can't sell a doctor for 100 million to another hospital. Kids, remember, skill levels over work rate. Again, I think that's also that's beside the point. It's beside the point being made, because we're talking about the life that you have, and sometimes when you're in this brilliant life, you lose perspective, and so you complain about things that actually, if you were outside of it looking in, even with both bits of knowledge, your mind may change. And I think that's what goes on with some football players. And a lot of privileged people go through this. They sit in this little world where they're like, oh, this is bad and that's bad. We call them first world problems. They're called first world problems. And my view is this. Let me just say as well, bro. For me, if footballers were genuinely at risk of collapsing and dying on the pitch without underlying health conditions, I don't think they would put themselves through this. Their clubs would put themselves through this. Their families would let them. If reports were being done now by doctors, and every single pro footballer at the elite end had doctors and nurses and sports scientists say, listen, you've all got a 30, I'm just going to throw a number out, a 20, 30, 40% chance every game, because of how many matches you now play, of having a cardiac arrest. This would be front headline news. They'd be forced into reducing it, because no company would sponsor these events. The income will reduce massively. Fans would be outraged. If there was that level of danger, unless they're sweeping it under the carpet, and if they are sweeping it under the carpet, that ain't on me. You give me the knowledge. I don't think legitimately there is this huge risk of severe career-ending, life-threatening injuries by playing an extra. And it isn't, someone said an extra 20 games a year. I don't see where the extra 20 games a year is coming from. It can't be 20 games. It's 5 or 6. I mean, players have always played. So if you're in all competitions and you go deep into them,
and that's the thing. The only reason you're in all competitions is because you play for a top-tier club. Yeah, and the reason you play for a top-tier club is because you chose to sign for that top-tier club. Yeah, because they wanted to buy you. Yeah, and you've said, Real Madrid, boy, give me 275 grand a week. I'm there, mate.
Yeah, no, I hear that completely. Comment here, Terry and Lee and everyone. How will clubs handle the Winter World Cup? Top players could be playing for then 9 months without rest. And do you know what? Again, I agree with that. I agree not having rest and a downturn period, because there needs to be that period of time. But then the clubs and players have got to look at it, and they have got to make decisions themselves. Remember, they are still in control. A footballer can say, I'm not playing. That's it. They are still in control of their destiny. They are not being forced into doing anything here. They are grown men that can make their own decisions about what they want to do and how they want to play. But then that's what needs to be looked at. The clubs and the governing bodies need to look at it. I think putting the World Cup in the winter was ridiculous. Personally, I think it was a ridiculous move to do that in the first place.
Let's see how many of these players pull out and say I ain't going.
Sponsors,
none of them, because they want the exposure, mate, which gets them more brand deals. It gets them more boot deals. It gets them more money in their back pocket. The fact and reality is this sport is dominated and infiltrated and infested with money. Yeah, they love the money, hence why they still do it. Yeah, let's not pretend otherwise. Yeah, they're in football to get paid a fortune, mate. Yeah, because if they didn't like doing what they did, yeah, and they didn't like the money that come with it, some players don't like it. Asuakoto, Bellerin, Danny Rose. There's hundreds of footballers that don't like it, but they like that. Yeah, and that's why they do it. So for them to have come out and even have the audacity to start crying about it, sorry, mate, not for me.
FFTV here says, as a former pro, the energy and consistent mindset needed to train and play every game damages mental health, as players can't switch off. Every player is different, but mental health issues are huge. And totally agree with that. Totally agree. If that's the issue and the concern these players have, 110% back that FFTV. Listen, everyone who's tuned in today, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. Do me a big favor and smash that like button before you leave. Subscribe to the Football Terrace, and we'll see you all again soon. Take care. Goodbye. God bless.